aficionados, we are back. Yes. I'm Peter Brooks, and I'll be your master of ceremonies for the 31st Keyboardfest, presented once again by the Mid-Michigan Music Teachers Association. And now would you please welcome to our stage our Mid-Michigan music teachers. This evening, you're going to hear 209 pianists using 418 hands and 2,090 fingers. The 12 grand pianos you see on the stage have been graciously provided again this year by Steinway Piano Gallery of Detroit, the Midwest's largest selection of Steinway and Steinway-designed Boston and Essex pianos. We hope you'll take some time either tonight after the performance or tomorrow to look at these fine instruments that have been brought here for our use from Steinway Piano Gallery of Detroit. Frankly, we could not present this event without their generous support. Now, we're pleased to have returning as our conductor, James Homeyer. Mr. Homeyer is the Director of Music at the United Church of Christ and retired from the Midland Center for the Arts in 2017. Jim has won awards in the National Adult Conducting Competition in Wisconsin and the American Conductors Competition in California. He is the Director Emeritus of the Rochester Symphony. He's thoroughly enjoyed his time with Keyboardfest and is honored to be here for its 31st year. Jim has been an adjunct for the Michigan School Vocal Association music program for the past 46 years, enjoys working with school choirs and bands and orchestras in various festivals around the state. Jim and his partner, Susan Mercy, enjoy being featured performers for special events around the Great Lakes Bay region. Recently, they were the music directors for the musical Elf, the musical, at Saginaw's Pit and Balcony Theater. And coming up in a few months, Jim will be conducting the Stephen Sondheim musical, Follies, at the Bay City Players. On occasion, you can find Jim flying his Piper Archer or Cessna Skyhawk airplane around Michigan. He's promised to take me up one of these days. The Homeyer Mercy Studio has students from ages 6 to 65 studying piano, trumpet, trombone, viola, violin, and cello. So will you please welcome our conductor, Mr. Jim Homeyer. Our teachers begin the evening for us with Intermezzo, the second movement from Suite Number 1 by Gustav Holst. It's part of a suite Holst wrote in 1909 for a military band. He was appalled at the lack of music showcasing brass and woodwind, so he wrote this piece to showcase just that. Holst was a trombonist, and his band experience enabled him to write better music. In the Intermezzo, the theme repeats, and it's wrapped around a folk song, I Love My Love. Please enjoy Intermezzo.
before Mr. Brooks makes the next announcement, I would like to invite you to witness a world premiere performance of what we call the Pandemic Concerto for 12 pianos. 1, 2, 3.
It's beautiful music. Melody in F is an Aaron Rubinstein composition. He is a Russian composer. It's the only piece of Rubinstein's found in a piano in most piano books today, even though he wrote many others. Now, Rubinstein started piano lessons at the age of 5 and gave lessons and concerts throughout his life. He admitted he didn't play piano very well. In fact, he joked about himself. He said, "If I could gather up all the notes that I let fall under the piano, I could give a second concert." Even so, Steinway sponsored Rubinstein's United States tour in 1872 and paid him the then unheard of amount of $200 per concert. Meanwhile, Muzio Clemente, a classical composer who was born in 1752, wrote Sonata in C. Both of these pieces are arrangements of some well-known classical works that we hope you enjoy. And now we hope you enjoy our next two compositions, Mist from the Sea and Celtic Charm. I would like you to picture in your mind a fuzzy bumblebee buzzing around a bright bush as you listen to Busy Bumblebee by Melody Bober. This bright melodic tune transitions, however, into a darker tone, maybe potentially portending a dark storm on the journey, but then it transitions back to a happy ending. Meanwhile, Valerie Roth-Robos composed Chipmunk Chatter. Now, Chipmunk Chatter kind of lets us hear two animals conversing back and forth. And the rests, where one student is silent, can be tricky to master because you have to count the rest. Just like in a conversation, sometimes it's hard to stop and listen when somebody else is talking, right? In her piano book, I Love Duets, Robos said, "I like how during practice my duet partner and I help each other figure out the tricky parts. I like how we sometimes dissolve into giggles when we make a mistake. And I like to know how the piano sounds so big and grand when we finally get it right. But most of all, I like doing duets because they brought me together with so many different people." Well, at this time, I would like to direct your attention center stage to our one-man drum and percussion section, Tom Ryden. So over the years, he's been a welcome figure on the stage as our percussionist for all 31 Keyboardfest concerts. He's been helping our performers keep a steady beat through all those events, and we appreciate his encouraging interactions with our students and our teachers. We appreciate how he remembers students from year to year when he sees them return. Mr. Ryden is a Dow Chemical retiree, but he hasn't retired, obviously, from his musical pursuits. So how about a nice round of applause of appreciation for Mr. Tom Ryden. Valerie Roth-Robos, remember her? Also composed our next set, which features December Waltz. And don't get too spooked by the Monster Factory. Now, instead, maybe picture some tall monsters, some skinny ones, some furry ones, cute monsters tiptoeing around the pianos. And enjoy. We're going to dance our way into our next duo of pieces. Fire and Ice is a tango, a dance that originated in South America as late as the 1790s, but really wasn't spread worldwide until the 1900s. A tango is usually in 2/4 or 4/4 time. You may have noticed it's a popular choice on Dancing with the Stars because of its flair, and it's Cheryl Burke's favorite. Meanwhile, Rodeo Stomp is a square dance, also by Chrissy Riker. She's a pianist, teacher, and composer from Raleigh, North Carolina. Swing your partner around and round. You know, some of those square dance calls can almost be kind of humorous. Do-si-do, roll away to a half sachet, box the gnat and pass on through, separate now and go home. How was that, huh? Not bad. I have a sideline going there. But listen, don't you go home until you hear these next two songs. Well, Valerie Roth-Robos also composed both of our next selections tonight. The George Washington March takes us back to the Revolutionary War with its march-like beat. It has an echo, you'll notice, which helps perhaps remind us of General Washington directing his military, which was encamped during that long, bleak winter at Valley Forge. Then Raindrop Toccata provides a staccato melody with a crescendo in the middle. And as you listen, consider, what does that raised volume there mean anyway? Toccata comes from the Italian to touch, because you rapidly tap the keys. Most popular years for toccatas were during the Baroque period. However, our toccata sounds a bit lighter. Listen to the raindrops as they dance their way across the keyboards while our students play. Well, we certainly hope you've enjoyed the program so far, and we'll continue with the rest in just a moment. But right now, we'd like to say a big thank you to some very important people. Our conductor, Jim Holmeyer, our percussionist, Tom Ryden, to Sue Luttel of Herter Music Center for supplying our music, to the Steinway Piano Gallery for providing the pianos, to the hardworking members of the Keyboardfest Committee, co-chaired by Diana Curran and Penny Vanderbush, and to all the families, all of you, who encourage and support these students in their studies of piano. Will you give those folks a round of applause? Next up, Gallop at Midnight is by Melanie Bober, who has written many of the duets we've used over the years. And then listen as our students rumba through the night, which of course is the English translation of Rumba della Noche by Mike Springer. Well, Two for the Show by Judith Strickland asks the students to play cheerfully. And this piece has a very pleasant perspective as a result, which you'll see in a moment. Envision maybe two friends going for a stroll on a beautiful day, not Michigan in January probably, and ending their walk with a performance. In fact, the song even ends on a high note. And Tag You're It by Wynn Ann Rossi is our second selection. The pianists take turns taking long rests of 2 measures each and playing You'll Never Catch Me for the melody going up and down the keyboard. The tempo directs the players to play as fast as you can. And as you watch these students whiz by, who do you think will be the winner? By the way, students who play duets learn that the student playing secondo sits on the left, primo sits on the right. And now enjoy Two for the Show and Tag You're It. Hancock Rock refers to Herbie Hancock, a pianist-composer who recorded the album Headhunters back in 1973. It was the fastest-selling jazz album of all time. It explored jazz rock, which was a new genre of jazz, mixing great grooves with heavy bass, and it captured the attention of a whole new audience. Then Welcome to the Savoy welcomes us to the Savoy Ballroom, which opened its doors on March 12th, 1926, in the heart of Harlem in New York City. It was one of the first racially integrated public spaces in the U.S., and it was the home of some big band competitions. All people were welcome, as long as they could dance. Swing, the Lindy Hop, and the Jive were all danced at the Savoy, and it became known as the home of happy feet. right now, would you please help me welcome our guest conductor, Matthew Conley, to the stage?
I am going to put your throne up.
Matthew is a senior at Dow High School. He hopes to attend the University of Michigan to study piano performance and aerospace engineering. He got a start in piano from Georgia Abbott and Altha Bittler. Currently, he studies with Catherine McMichael and Jim Homeyer. He was named Young Musician of the Year in the Saginaw Bay Symphony Orchestra competition and is soloed with the Midland Community Orchestra. Now, outside of classical piano, he enjoys jazz, show tunes, and choral works. Recently, he was the assistant music director of Grease the Musical here at the Midland Center for the Arts and was the assistant conductor for Alf the Musical at Pit and Balcony in Saginaw. Having played in Keyboardfest for a decade, he is honored tonight as our guest conductor of Roly Poly, and in a few minutes, a little Latin. So join us now as Conley conducts Roly Poly and Homeyer conducts Tarantella Fantastico.
Tonight I'm starting a new tradition. Whoever conducts has to wear this vest. And the white signifies master conductor. And this is the KFCIT side, Keyboardfest conductor in training. Good luck. We should have some ceremonial music for this kind of adornment. So before we do this next piece, I'd like to recognize the cause of it all. Sitting in the back, I don't know, Sally, if you can stand up or not, but this got all started, how many years ago, Tom? 35? 32? Yes. 32 years ago, Alice Ralston, Sally Stebleton, and a few other piano teachers got the idea of doing this. But you can't do it unless you have this space to do it in. And you can't do it unless you have enough pianos to do it in. Do you know how unique a town you live in? Midland is the only place in the entire state of Michigan that can really do this kind of a thing. And we're so fortunate to be here. And we're so fortunate that one of the original founders of this Keyboardfest is with us. So Sally Stebleton, will you please stand up and be recognized? I better turn this off. You don't want to hear what I say.
Well, Matthew Conley is going to return to conduct as things take a jazzy turn in our next set with a little Latin. Both pieces are by Kevin Olson, who composed a jazz suite for one piano and four hands. Of course, jazz originated in New Orleans with African-American roots in blues and ragtime. And Latin is a genre of jazz with Latin American rhythms. So actually, we're pulling from the heritage of several different cultures with jazz compilations. And the swing thing completes the set. Now, jazz got swingy around the 1920s and 30s with big bands like Count Basie, Glenn Miller, Duke Ellington. These bands often featured solos where one player would have the floor and get to improvise. Swing music is when the emphasis is on the offbeat and has a strong groove. And we'll do that swing thing in a moment after we get a little Latin.
for you to disrobe. Yes, again. So I need to acknowledge, too, that we've had some students and teachers unable to participate because of their exposure. So I want to acknowledge them because they're watching this through the Center of the Arts set up a Vimeo account. I have to get my master conductor help. So, this is dedication. We have students and teachers that are participating at home, and they're playing along with us. So, everybody, I think the camera is back there. So, stand up, turn around, and wave to everybody online. Here we go. Yay! Now you can applaud. Or maybe the camera was there.
Well, this time we would like to honor the students who are seniors this year. Of course, music enriches our lives, and it's a skill that lasts a lifetime. And we hope that all of you seniors will take this music and make it a part of your future going forward. So I'm going to ask the seniors to please come to the front and make a line across the front of the stage as I announce your name, and we will recognize you with applause after all the names have been announced. So seniors, we'll begin with Matthew Conley. Wait, hold the applause, please, till we get everybody down front. Alyssa Coventry. Amar Dingra. Sarab Dingra. Kayla Funk. Omar Khan. Lawrence Millward. Stanton Millward. Hannah Redman. Lucy Teed. Sumach Torain. Tomasz Tarowski. Christian Warren. Audrey Wong. And Abby Yerta. Let's give these young musicians some encouragement. Thank you, seniors. You may be seated now. Well, both by Kevin Olson, Ridiculous Rag and Zapatito are featured next, and I'm going to ask you to please try not to stamp your feet too loudly, okay? We are going to close out our evening's performance with Hoedown from Rodeo. It was written in 1950 by Aaron Copland, a famous American composer, perhaps best known for "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," which we've played at many keyboard fests in the past. However, Hoedown is not simple. In fact, it's our most advanced set of the evening. This piece was part of the ballet Rodeo. It was a celebration of the American West. Agnes DeMille choreographed the dance about a young cowgirl's rebirth. She had grown up from cowgirl to the prettiest gal in the room. You may recognize this music, by the way, from a commercial from just a few years ago. Beef, it's what's for dinner. So right now, let's head west with the Hoedown from Rodeo.
Before we do that, I wonder if we could have the house lights up just for a little bit. I want to ask the audience a question. Wonderful, that was fast. How many people studied piano when they were young, Mom and Dad? Kids, turn around. Look at all those hands. Isn't that wonderful? Good. Now, I know some of you begged your parents to quit. We all do. But you know what? I've never met an adult that thanked their parents for letting them quit. The older we get, the more we realize how important all of this is. So, there will come a time when you have to stand your ground, Mom and Dad, and see them through, maybe till 18, 19, 21 years old, or maybe 50. Thank you for coming tonight. Here's Hoedown.
Well, friends, that concludes this evening's Keyboard Fest. You're invited to stay and come up on stage, take pictures, look at these beautiful instruments here and out in the foyer. And again, thank you so much for coming. Students, remember the golden rule, right? Practice, practice, practice. Have a safe trip, and we'll see you next year. Good night, everybody.